This is page 19. We're going to look at 6 very important vocab words for angles. And this is another one of those, especially in the first month or two. This is one of those very important lessons. You've got, now yours, I know they're switched. This is because this is the foldable like this. If you open it up, right, you should see this. So we're going to start with adjacent angles, which is the top left. I hope you're ready to write. There's a lot of writing. Oh, how about quit eating? That might be a sign that says... Okay, top right corner, adjacent angles. I'm going to tell you what to draw. I'm going to tell you 3 facts, and then we're going to move on to the next one. I want you to draw with your ruler a large open angle that's obtuse with a ray coming out of it. And then here's where you need a colored pen or marker or colored pencil or maybe even a highlighter if you can write, you know, like without bearing down. I've got purple pens right here that you're welcome to borrow, but please don't take it. I don't have a pencil. Oh, pink. I'm sorry. I have red. Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. All right. Please, I'm sorry. Please label right here.
Is it color pencil?
Angle 1 and angle 2 in either colored pencil or pen. Angles 1 and 2. You just need one color throughout the whole, like, you just need the one.
Well, that thing is already.
And there's 2 points that I need you to label with your pencil. Go back to your pencil. I want you to label the vertex as B, and then I want you to put right here a C on the ray that's in the middle. These are adjacent angles. We're going to name 3 facts. You ready to write? Pencil. The only color that you need is when I'm labeling the angles in green. That's the only time you need that color. All right, fact 1. Angle 1, I got to write small or this won't fit on the screen. Angle 1 and angle 2 share vertex B. Fact 1, angle 1 and angle 2 share vertex B. Fact 2, angle 1 and angle 2 share ray BC. By the way, when I draw a ray and I write like the name of it, I don't typically write the letter and then do that with the arrow. I don't normally do that. I usually just write the letters and I do that to say ray. So if You see that? That's my normal symbol for, hey, it's raised. Starting at B, traveling through C. Okay, so the point of this is to show you the vocab word is adjacent angles. Adjacent means side by side. And then there's two facts here. Adjacent angles will have the same vertex. They will also have a side in common, and that side is a ray. There are no common interior points. My eye, right there. Okay. There's no common interior points. So I want you to think of having an entire pizza in front of you, right? You have a whole pizza in front of you, and it's cut into however many slices. Ooh, dang, that was good. It's cut into however many slices. Any two slices that are touching, for instance, here and here, would be adjacent. Same concept with angles. If they are touching, they're called adjacent. Does that make sense? This is really important, or you're not going to know how to do the assigned IXL that's coming today. All right, next vocab word. Vertical. It's a ruler. I want you to draw two straight lines. Two straight lines crossing. Two straight lines crossing, and now I want you to label the four angles that are formed using your colored pen. We have angles 1, 2, 3, 4. This vocab word is vertical angles. This is one of the most important vocab words. These come up all the time. And if you don't train your mind to look for them, you are going to be stuck a lot this semester. Okay? Remember, I'm building problem solvers here. Vertical angles are formed by any two lines crossing every time. We'll say it again for dramatic effect. Vertical angles are formed by any two lines crossing every time. Two lines cross, bam, vertical angles. Okay, here's the facts. Come back over here to your pencil. What are vertical angles? They are non-adjacent, meaning not adjacent, non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. This is a lot to write. This is like the only one that has a lot to write. Non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. Now we're going to name them. So what are the vertical angle pairs? By the way, I abbreviate angle with the symbol of an angle. Here are the vertical angle pairs. You with me? Y'all with me? Just make sure you
Oh my
days.
gosh.
Yeah, see? I thought you were in the days. The vertical angle pairs are 1 and 3, 2 and 4. One and 3, 2 and 4. Okay, I'm going to make a mark on the picture that I want you to copy, and then I'm going to tell you when to put your pencil down because I'm going to keep elaborating, and I don't want you to copy the marks because it's going to get really messy. 1 and 3 are congruent because they're vertical. They're vertical angles. 2 and 4 are congruent because they're vertical angles. You will notice they are directly opposite of each other, right? Let's go ahead and write right here that they are congruent. Remember that looks like this, to each other. That's the relationship. If I tell you 2 angles are vertical, then that means immediately that they're equal to each other. Which means if you were supposed to be setting up some type of equation to solve for x, there's your equation, that they're equal. Okay? Now, put your pencil down. Don't write this. Just watch to understand it better. I'll go with blue and red. Okay. You got a flashlight. Push the button, the light shines, right? Okay, I want you to think of a double-sided flashlight. So you push the button and it's going to shine in opposite directions. So look at this picture. If you have 2 lines that cross, the angles that form the back-to-back V's, think of vertical angles, V's, the angles that form the back-to-back V's are equal. Think of it as a double-sided flashlight, or think of it as an hourglass, because you have 2 pairs. You have that pair, and then you've also got the one going this way, and then right out behind it, that way. Does that make sense? So, vertical angles. They're very common. They're going to come up a lot, okay? And you've got to train your brain to look for them. And it's only when 2 lines intersect. Red means wrong here. If you had a line, don't draw this. If you had a line like that and that, and I said to you, what angle is congruent to 1, you should tell me there's not one. Look at this picture. Are there any vertical angles here? No, and that's because how many straight lines are in that picture? 1. How many do you have to have for vertical? 2. You've got to have at least 2. You can have more than that. But any 2 lines that cross, bam, 4 vertical angles, 2 pairs. So be careful, okay? That does come up. I can't think of how many times, but it does come up at some point. All right, so that's vertical angles. Next is perpendicular angles. And honestly, it's perpendicular lines that create right angles. I need you to take your ruler and as best as you can, basically draw the x-axis and the y-axis. Because we want it to be what? Perpendicular. And then what is the little symbol that I'm going to draw to show that it's perpendicular? In the picture, the little box indicates that it's a right angle. We do need to label these. We're going to call it AC and DV. So we got A. So I'll give you another 30 seconds to label yours. Alright, 3 facts. Fact 1. Line AC is perpendicular to line DB. Fact 1. Line AC is perpendicular to line DB. Because you have perpendicular lines, fact 2 would be that it forms 4 right, which means 90-degree angles. Forms 4 90-degree angles. Okay, anytime 2 lines cross, 4 angles are formed. Specifically, 2 pairs of vertical angles. But if they cross at a right angle, that means that this is 90 degrees, which means pulling from what you've already learned, because this is a straight line, then this would be, what, 90, which is also a straight line here, so this would be 90, and then you have a straight line here, so this would be 90. You will not see 4 boxes. You're not going to see 4 boxes. You should see 1, which indicates, since those are perpendicular, you have 4 right angles. Okay? So the third fact is that all 4 angles are congruent, because they're all 90. So you've got congruent, adjacent, and vertical angles. So you can write all 4 angles are congruent, because they're all 90. Okay. I'm going to go back to my diagram. Now we're on the right side, and this is complementary. Let me draw it, and then you see how you need to space it. This one's a little crowded. We're going to draw 2 examples. Example 1 needs to be the corner of a box with a ray coming out. And example 2 needs to be 2 disconnected angles that look like if you put them together, they would make the corner of a box. Yeah, because there's 2 ways this could be presented in a problem. And then, of course, I want you to show that this is a right angle here. The word complementary is exactly the same concept of like a hidden number as the word bisects. Bisects means cuts in half, right? Which means 2 pieces are equal. Okay, the word complementary means that there's a pairing of angles to equal 90 degrees. I want you to look at this picture. Go to your colored pen. We're going to call this one angle 1 and this one angle 2. Then we're going to go over here and we're going to write angle 1, angle 2. So you have 2 scenarios. They can be adjacent, already forming a corner of a box, or they can be disconnected, and I would tell you they're complementary. I would have to tell you angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary, and then this is how the picture could be presented. Okay? Okay, 3 facts. What does complementary mean? It means angles whose sum is 90 degrees. What does sum mean? Addition. they add to equal 90. There's two scenarios. It can be shown in a right angle, which would be that scenario 1 right there. This is scenario 1. Or they can be shown as two separate angles. Now, if it's shown as separate angles, then you would have some type of directions that would say, hey, these are complementary. Okay, so for example, like right here, if angle 1 was 50, and I told you angle 1 is complementary to angle 2, then angle 2 would measure 40. Very basic example. Which brings us to the next vocab word, which is supplementary. Supplementary. You're going to have 3 pictures. You got that one or this. Okay. 2 scenarios here. Take your colored pen and let's label this as angle 3 or 4 or 3 or 4 when they're disconnected. This is the word supplementary. There's 3 facts here. Fact 1 is it's angles whose sum is 180. Remember, sum means add. Angles whose sum is 180 degrees. 2 ways that you can see it. It can form a straight angle. And remember, that just means a straight line, right? Or it can be 2 separate angles and you would be told that they're supplementary. Can be shown as separate angles, and in that case you would be told that they're supplementary. So if I said angles 3 and 4 are supplementary, and 3 measured 120, then 4 would have to measure 60. Okay, put your pencil down. Let me show you something. Lots of vocab words here. They all get used almost every single day, okay? We've covered adjacent when they're side by side. We've covered vertical when they're like the double-sided flashlight or an hourglass. We've covered perpendicular lines form right angles, which means you have 4 90-degree angles. Now we're covering complementary versus supplementary. It is very important. It's very important that you understand complementary means they add to 90, supplementary means they add to 180. Because if you mix those 2 up, you're going to get it wrong. And I don't want that for you. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to remember complementaries 90, supplementaries 180. I'm going to show you the way that I used to remember it first. Then I'm going to show you a way a student taught me, which I appreciate, and I like his or her way better. I can't even remember who the kid was. I feel bad because I should give them credit. The way that I used to say in my head was this had 1p, this had 2, so I was like, this is 90, and if I double 90, what do you get? 180. That's how I memorized it. Worked for me. I never got it wrong. Because I could see that. Like I was like, oh, that's 90, that's double, that's 180. Also, supplementary is the bigger word. So, bigger number. Now, look at this genius way to remember it. And I would encourage you to write it in your notebook paper, like in the margin somewhere. I would just draw a giant C, then I draw a giant S. And here's how you remember it. Complementary is 90. I can make a C into a 9. Supplementary is 180. I can make an S into an 8. And that's how they memorized that complementary added to 90, supplementary added to 180. So, fold your flap closed, and then out the side to the right of it, just draw the C and the S, and then maybe in your colored pen, connect it, or in a dotted line, connect it, to remind you. Now you should never get it wrong. You should know complementary adds to 90, supplementary adds to 180. Now, the others I can't help you. You're going to have to memorize it. Vertical is equal. Think of the double-sided flashlight or an hourglass. Perpendicular means right angle. You've got to know that that's a 90. Okay, we got one more vocab word on here. Come to this picture, and I want you to just draw a straight line with 2 rays coming out of it. 2 rays. And in your colored pen, we're going to label it angles 5, 6, and 7. This vocab word is called linear pair. The word itself is telling you what it is. Now, pair in this case is not the noun meaning two. Pair is the verb meaning pair it together. Okay? Linear pair is a pairing of angles that, think of it as coming together like a puzzle that forms a straight line, hence the name linear pair. It's a pairing of angles to form a line. There's your straight line right there. And they all come together and they make a straight angle, which means they are, what's the number behind it? If they make a straight angle, what?
180.
Then they are supplementary because they add to 180. Now you might say, well, I thought it was only 2 angles to add to 180. No, it can be more than that. It depends on the picture. So in this case, angle 5, angle 6, angle 7 are a linear pair. Write it underneath. Don't write it as the math fact. Then I want you to draw an arrow from that statement right here. This is a really important arrow. I need you to level up and be able to go from reading that they're a linear pair to saying in your mind, oh, so if I add them up, I would get 180. That's what you've got to get to. The big giant arrow means get here without me telling you that. Okay? If I say they're a linear pair, your mind should think, oh, so I could add them up to equal 180, because that's probably going to come up as a way to solve the problem. Now, we do have 3 facts. Fact 1 is just the definition. It's adjacent angles when paired form a straight angle. Adjacent angles when paired form a straight angle. Fact 2. Linear pairs are supplementary. Linear pairs are supplementary every time. If I say they're a linear pair, that means they add to 180. Fact 3 is because linear pairs are supplementary, you can write angle plus angle to equal 180. Whatever your picture looks like, you know what I mean? If it's 2 angles, if it's 3 angles, you can write that equation. Okay. I'm going to put on the board 2 IXLs that we're going to do together as a class. Then I'm going to post a 3rd IXL that is going to require work. That is your practice assignment. We will probably be able to start it right now. You may want to keep this out for a second. I don't know. My father-in-law couldn't get him today, so he's at the after-school here, and I got to go to save him.
Poor little kid.
I got to save him. I know.
One. I'm going to beat him.
2-hour bus ride.
We don't beat kids.
Okay. Hey, it is still recording, so stay with me. The only benefit you're going to get from looking at up here is if you're participating. If you are just sitting there like a pet rock, this is not going to benefit you at all. Okay? Which means when you get the actual IXL assignment, you're going to be, for lack of better words, lost. So watch, and in your mind, I need you to think of the answers until I say, okay, now tell me the answer, and then participate, okay? Ready? Okay. We're going to start with an IXL that just covers the basic vocab. No actual, math involved. It's just the basic vocab. It says, which angle is complementary to angle 2? Don't answer yet. Your key word is that it's complementary. I'm trying to help you with your mind, what you should think. Which means it adds to equal 90. Look at the picture, find the angle they tell you. They say, here's angle 2, focus here. Then they're saying, which one would add to 2 to equal 90? Your clue is that angle 3 is 90, right? So if that's 90 over there, then this has to be what? 90 right there. Which means, what's the complementary angle? 1. Okay? Don't answer out loud. Look up here. In your mind, think. If you can't read it from the back, I'll read it out loud. Which angle is congruent? Oh, yes, I can. Okay, hold on. Which angle is congruent to 3? Hold on. Angle 3 is congruent to what? 5. Why? What's the vocab word? Vertical angles. Look for the 2 straight lines, and they're directly opposite of each other. Okay? I don't know if it will let me. Will it stay? Yeah, it will. Okay. All right, real quick. What's vertical to 1? 4. Does everybody agree that it's 4?
Yes.
Y'all agree? 6. It's 4. So, you thought 6 because of this, right? Oh, wait, it's not. Which it is. 5 and 6 are complementary, but 6 is not an option. What's 5 equal to? 5 is equal to 2. So what's complementary to 2? 3, which means it would be 3 would be equal to 6, so 3 is also complementary to 5. Alright, that was a good one. Alright. Now we're getting a little bit of math, but this you should be able to do it in your head maybe, or you can just take your phone if you've got it still. What's the value of S? 40. How do I get it? 90 minus 37. Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Not 63. What'd you say? 53. Okay. What's the value of N? They're equal. How do I get this one? Y'all can see why I did this one with you. So it would be 58. All right.
Okay.
This is the one I got to do.
This is the one you have to do. Now listen, this is exactly why I wanted to show you the foundational concepts first. Y'all gonna have to quit spinning the rulers. I'm going to give you this piece of paper, and this is where I expect you to do your work. It is just a big wide open box, so you can organize it however you want. You have to reach a SMART score of 80. Listen, which puts you at answering relatively simple 1-2-step equations or approaches. And then you hit SMART score 79, you're going to have one more complicated question. It's like a level up of 1 to get to the 80. And I did that on purpose because I want you there, okay? I want your intuition to get you to that next level of thinking, all right? So let me help you with it. This is focusing on the same foundations of what we just did. It's the same stuff. Are y'all listening? Yeah. It is the exact same stuff. It's leveled up by not just being a plain old number. It's a expression, which means there is an equation involved. You all already know the relationships. They're either equal, they add up to equal, like something. If I tell you they add up, this is not a good example. I'll show you the one coming. They add up to equal something, or they add to 90, or they add to equal 180. That's it. Okay? All right. Look at the picture. What do you have? You got a 90-degree angle. You have how many in there? 2, which means they're, what's the vocab word? Complementary. What equation would you use then?
9x.
You would add them up, and they have already simplified it. So you've got 9x minus 2 plus 38 has to equal 90. You're not going to find that as an answer. They're going ahead and combining the two. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have to solve it. So you'll subtract 36, divide by 9. That'd be 54 divided by 9 is what? 6. All right, look at this one. What equation could be used? What's the relationship of the info they gave you? Are they equal? Add to 90, add to 180, or add to some other number that they tell you?
Equal.
They're equal. So it would be the one where they're equal. That one, right? And then 76 divided by 4. 9? I mean, not 9. 19?
Yeah.
No,
3x
level up. You can do it.
Level up.
3x.
Plus
Obviously.
27, 24.
What do you notice? What do you notice?
That two and I something mine did two and 180.
Okay, so you could immediately eliminate the ones that add to 90, right? Because you've got a straight angle there.
And then I can make an angle pretty different for us because that's not smart.
Or you could say to yourself, there are 3 x plus 8s, right? So there are 3
Yeah, Brad.
x plus 8s.
Oh, well, I'm
Does that make sense? That's what I need you to get to. Alright. Now, to solve that,
Yeah.
you could do one of 2 things. You could distribute the 3, which is the method that most people tend to go. Or you could divide by 3, because 180 will divide by 3 nicely. But anyways, you would subtract 24, 6, then you would divide by 3, 52.
Good afternoon. Your
Good morning.
for the day.
Listen.
35.